She compared me to her ex one last time. He'd never fail me like this. I said quietly, "Then you married the wrong man." She froze. I finished, "Don't worry. I know how to correct that." The divorce attorney picked up immediately. I, 32 male, am a structural engineer. In my line of work, everything comes down to the integrity of the foundation. If the base is cracked, the skyscraper is just a vertical graveyard. I apply that same precision to every aspect of my life. I don't guess and I don't hope. I measure. I calculate. I verify. I thought I had applied that logic to my marriage with my wife and NBSB, 30 female. I thought our 4-year foundation was reinforced steel. It turns out I was building on quicksand, and the person I trusted most was the one digging the hole. The rot started about 6 months ago. That's when her ex slithered back into the picture. He was her high school sweetheart, the guy who lived for the moment, while she wanted a house and a career. He'd spent the last decade drifting through creative retreats and spiritual journeys, which is just code for being an unemployed wanderer. Suddenly, he was back in the city and my wife was helping an old friend find his footing. It started with late-night coffee runs to discuss his art gallery ideas. Then it turned into her criticizing everything about our life. My job was soul-crushing, our house was sterile, and my desire to plan for our future was anxiety-driven. She started comparing my 60-hour work weeks to his unbounded freedom. She was looking at a man who couldn't pay for his own lunch and seeing a philosopher, while looking at me, the man providing her luxury, and seeing a boring bank account. The tension escalated every single day. She became entitled, acting like my income was a basic human right while her loyalty was an optional add-on. She stopped contributing to our shared chores, stopped checking in, and started treating our home like a hotel where the concierge was someone she despised. I saw the signs. I'm an engineer. I notice when a support beam starts to bow. I didn't confront her immediately. I did what I do best. I gathered data. I noticed her spending habits shifted. Small increments of cash, $200 here, $500 there, were being withdrawn from our joint account. I noticed the shared iPad on our nightstand was constantly buzzing. Because it was synced to my Apple ID for our subscriptions, I had access to the message previews. I didn't need to be a spy to see the "I miss you" and "he's at work, come over" messages. But I waited. I needed the full picture. The collision happened on our 4th anniversary. I had planned a night that would make any reasonable person feel cherished. I'd spent 3 months getting a table at the most exclusive restaurant in the city. I'd bought her a diamond necklace that cost as much as a mid-sized sedan. I was standing in our living room, wearing a tailored suit, looking at the clock as the minutes ticked past our reservation time. When she finally pulled into the driveway, she wasn't alone. The ex's beat-up, rusted-out car was idling at the curb. She walked through the door looking disheveled, smelling like cheap liquor and the kind of hand-rolled cigarettes he smoked. She didn't even look guilty. She looked annoyed that I was there. "You're late," I said. My voice was like ice. "We missed the reservation." She tossed her bag on the counter and laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. "Oh, get over it. It's just dinner. You're so obsessed with your little schedules and your little plans. It's exhausting to live with a robot." "It's our anniversary," I reminded her. "I put effort into this. I put effort into us." She stepped closer, her eyes filled with a weird kind of spite. "That's the problem. Your effort is just spending money. You think a necklace and a steak dinner make up for the fact that you have no passion?" I was with him today, and for the first time in years, I actually felt alive. He lives in the real world, not in a spreadsheet. Then came the line that changed everything. She looked at me with pure contempt and said, "He'd never fail me like this. He actually knows how to treat a woman with a soul. He'd never prioritize a desk job over a moment of passion." The room went cold. I felt the last bit of respect I had for her vanish. She was calling me a failure because I provided the stability that allowed her to go play pretend with a loser. I didn't yell. I didn't throw the necklace. I just looked at her and said quietly, "Then you married the wrong man." She froze. She probably expected me to argue, to try and prove I was passionate enough. She didn't expect the total withdrawal of my energy. I finished. Don't worry. I know how to correct that mistake. I walked into my home office and locked the door. I had a contact in my phone I'd added 2 weeks ago, a divorce attorney known as the Great White in legal circles. He doesn't handle amicable splits, he handles removals. I hit dial. He picked up on the first ring. It's time, I told him. I want the full-scale response we discussed. No fault is off the table. I want discovery, on everything. While she was outside the door screaming that I was being dramatic and controlling, I was busy. I spent the next 4 hours downloading every message from the cloud. They weren't just having an affair, they were planning a heist. The messages were explicit. They were waiting for my annual bonus, a 6-figure payout due in 3 weeks, to hit the joint account. The plan was for her to drain the account, take the jewelry, and disappear to a rental in Tulum with him. The ex had texted her, "Just keep the boring suit happy for 20 more days. Once that bonus clears, we're free." He's too stupid to see it coming. My wife's reply, "He's so easy to manage. He thinks I'm just finding myself. He has no idea he's funding our new life." The entitlement made my blood boil. She wasn't just cheating, she was predatory. But she forgot one thing. I'm an engineer. I don't just build. I analyze failure points. I'd already begun the deconstruction. The next morning, the dirty tricks started. I woke up at 6 a.m. to a notification that someone had tried to initiate a wire transfer of $50,000 from my personal brokerage account to an offshore entity. My wife had clearly found my login credentials written in my desk. But because I'd flagged the account for potential fraud the night before, the bank held the funds. I walked into the kitchen. She was sitting there, calm as a cat, sipping coffee. She actually had the nerve to smile at me. "I thought about what you said. Maybe we can work this out. I'm willing to go to counseling if you'll give me a little more freedom with our finances. I feel so restricted." "Is that right?" I sat down across from her. "Does the freedom include the $50,000 you just tried to steal? Or the loans you've been giving your friend?" Her face went pale, but she doubled down. "Entitled people always do. That's marital money. I have a right to it. My lawyer, I called one this morning, says that since you were the primary earner, I'm entitled to maintain my lifestyle. You can't just cut me off." "I haven't cut you off," I said, sliding my laptop toward her. "I've just secured the assets. And by the way, I think you should see who you're actually planning to move to Tulum with." I showed her the file my PI had put together. Her starving artist was actually a career fraudster. He had 3 active warrants for his arrest in neighboring states for affinity fraud. He targeted women exactly like her, dissatisfied wives with wealthy husbands, convinced them to invest in his art, and then vanished. The best part? I showed her the photos from 3 hours ago. The ex wasn't at a gallery. He was at a diner with another woman, a 55-year-old widow, showing her the same sketches he'd shown my wife. He was running the same script on a new mark because he realized my wife was taking too long to get the bonus. "He wouldn't do that," she whispered, her voice trembling. "He loves me." "He loves your access to my bank account," I said. "And since that access is now 0, I imagine he'll stop answering your texts by noon." She flipped. She started throwing plates, screaming that I was destroying her life. She called her mother and father, wailing that I was abusing her and locking her out of her own money. Her father called me 5 minutes later, full of bluster and threats about how a real man treats his daughter. I didn't argue. I simply sent the father-in-law the screenshots of his daughter and the ex laughing about how stupid her parents were for believing her lies. I sent him the bank records showing she'd stolen $15,000 of the grandkids' college fund I'd set up to give to the ex. The father-in-law didn't call back. The silence was deafening. The next few days were a whirlwind of legal maneuvers. My wife, realizing the ex was indeed ghosting her now that the bonus was out of reach, tried to pivot back to being the wronged wife. Her lawyer filed an emergency motion for temporary support and exclusive use of the house. They claimed I was financially kidnapping her. The hearing was 2 days later. My wife showed up looking like she was going to a funeral, modest dress, no jewelry, acting fragile. Her lawyer stood up and gave a passionate speech about power imbalances and how I was using my engineering salary to crush a creative soul. My lawyer waited. He's a veteran of these wars. He stood up and handed the judge a single binder. "Your Honor, we aren't withholding funds to be cruel," my lawyer said. "We are protecting what remains of the marital estate from a documented criminal conspiracy. We have evidence of the petitioner attempting to forge the respondent's signature on a $100,000 home equity line of credit, Helic, just yesterday morning." The judge looked up, sharp. "Forgery? We have the recording from the bank's security line, Your Honor," my lawyer continued. "The petitioner called in pretending to be the respondent's executive assistant, using a voice modulator to authorize a digital signature. We also have the testimony of the bank officer who flagged it." My wife looked like she was going to faint. She'd actually tried to forge a Helic while I was at work. The entitlement was so deep she thought she could just take a six-figure loan against my house and walk away. The judge didn't even hesitate. "Motion for temporary support is denied. In fact, I'm granting the respondent's motion for exclusive possession of the residence effective immediately. Ms. Wife's last name. You have 4 hours to vacate the premises under police supervision. Any attempt to remove property not designated as your personal effects will result in a contempt charge." We walked out of that courtroom, and she lost it. In the middle of the hallway, she started screaming that I was a cold-hearted monster and that I never deserved her anyway. "You're right," I said, as the bailiff stepped in to move her along. "I deserved someone with integrity. You deserved a guy who's currently being arrested in a diner 3 blocks away." That was the cherry on top. I'd tipped off the local PD about the ex's outstanding warrants and his location. As she was being escorted out of the courthouse, she got to see her soulmate being put into the back of a squad car in the parking lot. The final settlement was a total rout. To avoid a criminal referral for the Helic forgery and the grand larceny attempts, she agreed to walk away with nothing but her premarital assets, which amounted to some clothes and a 10-year-old car. No alimony. No house. No share of my retirement. I'm sitting in my living room now. It's quiet. The air feels lighter. I've already contacted a contractor to remodel the bedroom. I want every trace of her influence gone. I'm an engineer. I know how to clear a site before a new build. She tried to play me like a boring suit. She forgot that the boring suit is the one who understands how the world actually works. She traded a life of luxury and a husband who would have moved mountains for her for a few months of passion with a career criminal. The foundation is finally clear. The debris has been hauled away. And for the first time in 4 years, the structure of my life is perfectly balanced. If you want to know how to spot the cracks in a relationship before the whole ceiling caves in on you, hit that subscribe button. I'm a specialist in structural integrity and satisfying demolition.